The first thing you hear is the sound of a hand meeting skin, sharp, sudden, echoing through a cabin lined with leather seats and polished wood. For a moment, time stood still. Victoria Lane, dressed in a tailored navy suit, lowered her hand, her palm burning her chest, heaving. Across from her, billionaire industrialist Richard Whitmore slowly turned his head back toward her, a thin line of blood on his lip. He smiled, not kindly, not amused, but like a predator savoring a challenge. "You'll regret that," he whispered. Everyone in the jet froze. Nobody breathed. And that's where the story really begins. Victoria hadn't come from money. She grew up in the cracked sidewalks of East Detroit, raised by a mother who cleaned houses by day and worked at a diner by night. Luxury for her was turning the heater on long enough in winter to see her breath disappear. Her mother used to hand her crumpled dollar bills and say, "Books are your ticket out, baby girl." And Victoria believed her. She studied by streetlight when the power got cut, hustled for scholarships, and fought her way into MIT. Instead of taking a cushy job out west, like everyone expected, she built something of her own. From a tiny apartment with peeling paint and a second-hand laptop, she launched Sentinel Systems, an AI security platform designed to protect the homes and businesses of people who could never afford the kind of technology gated communities took for granted. 7 years of ramen noodles, rejection emails, and 80-hour weeks turned her dream into a company worth $200 million. By 34, she was on magazine covers, though those same magazines always framed her as a rare success story, which she knew was coded. Talk for, how did a black woman crack a white man's fortress? Her right hand through it all was Marcus Reed, her college friend turned COO, the one who'd stay up nights coding beside her, the one who believed when no one else did. Together, they pushed Sentinel into markets nobody thought possible. And then came the call. Richard Whitmore, a 60-year-old mogul with old money and newer tech ties, wanted to meet. His empire was valued at $30 billion. A partnership could catapult Sentinel into homes around the globe overnight. The first meetings were almost pleasant. Richard played the part well, silver hair, custom suits, the handshake that lingered just a bit too long. He called her brilliant while interrupting her mid-sentence, praised her vision while saying, "Your people," like he was talking about a demographic rather than human beings. Marcus warned her, "I've heard stories about him, Vic. He takes minority-owned companies, dangles opportunity, then strips them for parts." She told herself rumors weren't facts. Still, unease settled in her chest. The deal was supposed to be finalized mid-flight on her newly purchased jet, a symbol of how far she'd come. She'd been proud walking onto that plane. But Richard arrived criticizing the size of it compared to his own fleet. Cozy for a startup, he set his smile sharp. Then came the revised contracts pages of legal traps that gave his corporation full access to Sentinel's core algorithms. When Victoria pointed it out, he waved a hand. "Standard language. Nothing to worry your pretty head about." Her voice didn't shake when she closed the folder. "Our lawyers will review it before we sign." That's when the mask dropped. His eyes hardened, his tone sharpened. "Let's not pretend you've gotten this far on your own merit. Diversity initiatives are a bubble. I'm offering you a lifeline before it bursts. My board already thinks I'm crazy for working with, well, you know." Her jaw clenched, her face still. "Excuse me. You have potential. I'll give you that," he sneered. "But you need someone like me to guide you. Otherwise, you'll be another girl from the ghetto who flew too close to the sun." And then, like fate mocking him, she found a memo in the folder. A plan outlining how he would manufacture a crisis, devalue her stock, and remove her as CEO within months. When she confronted him, he didn't even deny it. "That's business, sweetheart. Be grateful you got this far." Something in her snapped. Years of swallowing insults, of walking into rooms where people assumed Marcus was the CEO, of being followed by security guards in her own office building, every wound rose at once. Her hand moved before she even thought. The slap cracked the silence open. Richard's smile after was worse than his insults. "Now it begins," he whispered. His men reached for weapons, but Marcus stood up broad as a linebacker, blocking their path. "Sit down," he barked. For the first time they hesitated. The jet landed early. Richard left with blood on his lip and a promise in his eyes. "I will destroy you." And destroy her he tried. Overnight headlines screamed about an unstable female CEO. Stock prices plunged. Fake photos and doctored audio clips circulated painting her as violent, even racist herself. Hashtags like #crazyboss trended. Investors pulled out. Her own board called emergency sessions. And the cruelest blow, Anthony Carter, her CFO, was revealed to have ties to Richard's company. He'd been his plant all along. Within days, the board voted her out. Anthony became interim CEO. Alone in her childhood bedroom, bank accounts frozen, her mother receiving threats. Victoria almost broke. "Maybe I should quit," she whispered to Marcus. But fate had other plans. Judge Harold Ellis, a retired federal judge she'd once served on a council with, called her. "You're not the first," he said. "Whitmore has done this to 17 black-owned companies, 9 Latino, a dozen women-led. He destroys them the same way smears crises acquisitions." Then came Zoe, a young former intern who brought receipts, server logs, emails, even hidden backup footage from the jet proving Richard's racist threats. Suddenly, Victoria wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for every silenced entrepreneur who came before her. They built a secret alliance: Marcus, Judge Ellis, Zoe Amara, the lawyer, Sophia, the journalist. From safe houses and burner phones, they pieced together a counterattack. Each revelation made the conspiracy clearer: financial bribes, intimidation, racial targeting. And for the first time, Victoria smiled with something like hope. The final showdown came at Whitmore Tower, the day he planned to announce Sentinel's acquisition. Reporters sipped coffee, waiting for the scripted triumph. Then the doors opened, and in walked the woman they thought was finished. Victoria Lane, in a steel gray suit, head-high team at her side. The room fell silent. "You weren't invited," Anthony stammered. "I invited myself," she replied, her voice steady. "Considering you're selling my company today, I thought I should attend." And with a nod to Zoe, the screen lit up. The entire room watched as Richard's own voice filled the space, calling her a girl from the ghetto, threatening to steal her company, every venomous word preserved in high definition. Gasps rippled. Reporters scrambled for their phones. Anthony sputtered, "It's fake," only for Amara to step forward. "Federal forensic experts authenticated it this morning." Victoria's eyes scanned the crowd. "Where's Richard?" Surprised, he's late to his own victory lap. The elevator dinged. He strode in, lawyers flanking him, fury written on his face. "What is this circus, truth and consequences?" she said simply. For the next half hour, she dismantled him piece by piece, emails showing collusion with Anthony, financial records of hush payments, testimony from other founders he'd destroyed. The press conference he'd planned turned into his trial. And then, as if scripted by fate, federal agents entered. "Richard Whitmore, you're under investigation for corporate espionage, discrimination, and conspiracy." The mighty titan stood frozen as his empire crumbled around him. Reporters swarmed Victoria, microphones in her face. She lifted her hand, the same hand that had struck him weeks before. "This isn't just about me. It's about every founder told they weren't enough because of their skin, their gender, their background. Today proves otherwise." Applause erupted, not polite claps, but raw relief from those who'd seen enough predators win. Whitmore was led out in handcuffs. Anthony was arrested days later. Sentinel rebounded stronger than before. Victoria was reinstated CEO, not just vindicated, but transformed. But here's the part that matters most. She didn't stop at saving herself. She poured her energy into building a coalition, raising a $50 million fund to defend minority entrepreneurs against predators like Whitmore. She testified before Congress, named names, pushed for reforms. And when she stood on stage a year later launching the Equity and Innovation Coalition, she raised her hand again. No longer just the hand that slapped a tyrant, but the hand that built a movement. She looked out at hundreds of faces that looked like hers. Voices long shut out and said, "That slap could have ended me." Instead, it started something bigger. And maybe that's the lesson. Sometimes the thing meant to break you becomes the spark that changes everything. So let me ask you this. Was she right to slap him that day? Or should she have handled it differently? Have you ever seen someone stand up to injustice in a way that shocked everyone? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this matter, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe because the fight for fairness is far from over.